Let's continue this conversation.
For the benefit of our listeners and viewers, Emil was asking how big Ryan Cabrera really was.
Yeah.
He wasn't super big. He had like
He had like three
three
sikat
three
na
yeah,
songs.
three big songs
Oh.
in mid 2000s.
Is he solo lang?
Yeah.
Hindi
Yeah, yeah.
siya group.
No.
White
Okay,
guy with
fair enough.
guitar nga. He was that archetype.
Okay, good.
To be fair, maganda naman yung song, yung sumikat ng song. So
Yeah.
I still have them in my playlist. I think. Yeah, I do.
Akala ko talaga when revealed na Alexa was in a relationship with this guy, like she's just someone na random non-celebrity. And then,
No,
sikat
the
pala
funny
siya.
thing is she's a huge pop culture fan, diba, from the
Yeah.
2000s. Kasi nga kaedad namin ni Ro. And then Ryan Cabrera was one of the guys that she really listened to. And then to end up getting
Yeah.
married to him, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Medyo,
cool.
medyo groomer things yun, actually.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hindi naman siya
There's just an
Enrique
age,
Hill or Coco Martin.
yeah,
ba?
there's just an
Yeah.
age gap. What up, Bruce
Bruce
Glendale? We're
Glendale.
talking about we're talking about Mr. Alexa Bliss. To be fair, Alexa Bliss is between the two of them. She is the bigger star now.
Right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So like good for
Yeah.
her, right?
Hmm. If anything, Ryan is using Alexa to
Wow.
be relevant.
Inang yan.
Am I wrong though?
Wow.
Yeah. To be fair, narinig ko lang si Ryan Cabrera because of Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the other way around.
Oh, that's because you're a child, Emil.
Yeah. Pero like, yun na nga, laking gulat ko when
Yeah,
in their
you were like
wedding,
what?
they had
How
NSYNC.
old were you in 2000?
Like,
Hindi mo na
less than
nabutan.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. How?
Bruce also-
What year were you born? In
98. Was 98.
98. Okay, so
Yeah.
you had like 4 years of NSYNC.
Yeah. Pero
Yeah.
yung NSYNC, naging aware na lang ako like I was already in high school.
Yeah,
But
ayun.
still-
So
Still dig their music.
So NSYNC to you is like New Kids on the Block to me.
yeah, to us.
Oh,
To
yeah.
us. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
here's a
hindi ko
good
rin appreciate
question.
yung New Kids until like later on.
Here's a good question from Ina. Who is your favorite gay wrestler?
Bowens for me right now. Anthony Bowens.
That's a good answer.
Good pick. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to the OG, see Fred Rosser.
Yeah.
He paved the
Mm.
way, I think.
I remember it was kind of a big deal when he came out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he
so-
got a push for it. He got a push out of it.
Kind of got a
Diba?
push, but not
Yeah.
as big of a push.
Yeah, not as big of a push as we would have wanted, no?
Yeah. And they turned primetime players to babyfaces. I remember at that time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They did turn face after he came out.
Yeah.
And yung
Bruce
favorite
and-
part ko nun was how he just came out so nonchalantly. Parang it was
Yeah.
as if it was so normal. Alam mo yun?
Yeah. And it was, I think it was at the same time when Jason Collins, yung trend at
Oh
that
yes,
time
yes.
was,
That's why he
Yeah.
came out because Jason Collins came out. I
Yeah,
think.
Jason Collins.
Yeah, like about 2 or 3 years prior. Yeah.
Oh, yun. Ngayon, normal na lang. Like, it's not, hindi naman it's not a major deal, pero like, it's accepted na, like, especially in the wrestling business. Yeah. Which is a good thing.
If I were to pick though, again, like current, I would say Kid Bandit because she's
Yun,
doing
yeah.
really good for herself.
Bandit.
Plus representation ng mga Pinoy.
Yes.
Happy Pride Month, by the way, to everybody.
Yep. Happy Pride Month.
I remember a classmate who was a bully and an asshole who said a homophobic slur during Pride Month, and then he punctuated it by saying Happy Pride when a gay classmate called him out. This was in 2019, by the way. So
Wow.
Oh,
The-
tatay na siya ngayon. So I hope he doesn't raise an asshole.
yeah. Sana lang ba.
no, I mean, I hope he raises a gay kid. That was, jokes on him.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time!
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're watching
Spoiler.
and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Romaran, Emil ASH checking in on another Thursday live stream. Happy Pride, everyone. It's June 1 as we are live streaming and recording this episode. We've got a lot to talk about, so I don't think I even need to bring in the Cody Rhodes stinger here. But first things first, Emil, I'm glad may kuryente na dyan in your neck of the woods, finally.
Yes. Again, yung power interruption the whole day, it's pretty normal here in the province. So sanay na ako, pero it's been a while since naka-experience ako ng ganito because I've been in Manila for most of this year. So nakainis, pero good thing the power is back.
I'm sure. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not say happy birthday, Ro.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
All right. Yeah. No, it's been another day. It's a Thursday, so I had to work. But thank you, everyone. It's really nice to have another trip around the sun.
And I think that's also why he decided to announce his huge announcement on his birthday.
Mamaya, sa plugs section. Thank you,
Sige.
everyone in the chat.
So we'll save that for the plugs at the end. All right. Like I said, we've got a lot to get to. We had a triple stacked pay-per-view weekend between Battleground, Double or Nothing, Night of Champions, and all of the news that just came our way. So pag-uusapan natin yung lahat. But first, let's get some plugs, starting off with our growing wrestling podcast Patreon community, which you can always be a part of.
All right, so if you want to get the full wrestling podcast experience, all you have to do is join in our Patreon by subscribing to www.com/Patreon. Oh, sorry. Really
Bro,
repeat
what?
that.
What's happening? What is happening? You're falling apart.
Okay. All right, let me repeat that. You can do that by subscribing. Subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast, where you could subscribe for as low as $5. So in a local currency, it's around 275 or 280 pesos. Pero taas. Perks of joining our Discord, joining our Patreon, of course, our Discord, where you can interact with your fellow podcasts. You can talk to us about anything about wrestling, but also among other things as well, sports, music, fashion, memes, everything and anything under the sun. And of course, we also have the pasabays. And if you want to get your authentic wrestling merch, WWE, AW, or any other wrestling merch, you can get it through us as well. And also the review content of the weekly wrestling shows like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, and soon Collision. And also some local wrestling events as well, courtesy of Rowan ASH. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5. I choked on that one earlier. I apologize. It will never happen again.
Julian says you choke like the Lakers. I think you choke more like the Celtics.
Nilalait mo si Celtics yan. Na Celtics katuloy.
Yeah. Wait, before anything, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who showed up to both our viewing parties. Well, of course, one was on Saturday night or / early Sunday morning for Night of Champions. I know none of you in the chat went, but we still did have a really nice turnout sa Hobby Stadium last Sunday for Night of Champions. So even though the show started 1 a.m., we all went home at 4 a.m. You guys, or they rather, had a nice time. That people were up, energetic still cheering for example, for this moment that's on Emil's background when the Uso super kicked their cousin, and yun, I was so amazed na people were still pretty hyped when that happened. So yun yung pampagising namin nung 4 a.m. So thanks again to Hobby Stadium for having us, even though the hour was ungodly. Hobby Stadium really enjoyed having us over tayong Wrestling podcast and yung mga friends natin from Geek Talk PH. Shout outs to Legend Dennis, Galactic Shark, and Hans for holding down the fort and making this happen. I think Hobby Stadium as well likes working with us, so I'm sure we will not be. It will not be the last time we will be there. So I hope that you guys can come because the space is big. But even though we were able to pack it and make it look pretty full, there is still a lot of space that could be filled. So definitely, probably not Money in the Bank because that starts at the butt crack of
4
dawn.
a.m.
Yeah.
4 a.m. Manila time.
So maybe SummerSlam. We still don't know which venue we will be doing that in. Skinny Mike's also loves us a lot. So depending on the card of that show, we'll see. We'll see na lang. But Hobby Stadium is fun too. So thank you, Sir Andrew, I believe, for having us over. And then also thank you to everyone who's tuned in on a Monday morning on Discord for the Double or Nothing watch party. Even though the show wasn't all that it was cracked up to be, we still had fun talking shit, making fun of the crowd, the Las Vegas crowd, and
Or
having
si blackface mask guy.
sa anarchy in the arena. So that was a lot of fun and goes to show na meron pa rin tayong market for our Discord watch parties because syempre we can't all troop down to Skinny Mike's on a Monday morning when we have work, diba? So
Yeah.
thank you everyone, and we'll see you at the next watch party.
Let's say happy birthday to Awi in the comments, who shares his birthday
Happy
with Ro
birthday.
here.
Happy birthday.
Awi.
Hope you're having a good one.
Birthday, yeah.
All right, let's get to business here. And let's start with a slide that babyface producer Jasper accidentally spoiled because
It is official.
CM Punk is coming back. He's going to be front and center for AEW Saturday Night Collision on Saturday, June 17th. All right, fellas, are you excited for this?
No, people, pro CM Punk fans were touting this as a win, as though hindi nanganganib yung participation ng idol nila. I'm pretty sure this was, put together at the very last minute. Hindi naman last minute kasi June 17 pa, but, probably over the weekend. And I'm pretty sure that there was a bigger chance of it not happening. And so they probably just compromised. So I hope Phil himself compromised by, letting go of the whole Ace Steel thing. We don't need Ace Steel around backstage biting people's ears. Diba? So, yun. CM Punk, syempre, he's going to bring in the fans who love him. But I don't think AEW was really missing anything while he wasn't around. Like I was saying on Discord, the bigger problem here was that, or the bigger issue with AEW was that Tony Khan did a lot more damage over the past half year since Punk was gone with this weird trying hard writing and booking than Punk being gone. So I don't think this means Punk is going to be the savior of AEW. His mic work is going to probably elevate the show, but if the stories are not as good as we want them to be, then what's Punk gonna matter to this product? Especially if he's not committed to changing his ways and stop being toxic, diba?
Ikaw, Emil, excited ka ba dito? You're a younger fan, so medyo iba yung perspective mo eh.
Honestly, even though I'm a Punk fan, no, kasi matagal na natin itong alam na he's gonna be the main man of Collision. And again, I just hope na he doesn't cause so much trouble again like he did the first time, because AEW has done everything in its power to get this guy back. So they literally bent their backs for him. And I think he will legitimize the Collision show. Kasi he's like the show is gonna revolve around him, and definitely there's gonna be a brand split because there are people who doesn't want to work with Punk, and also there are people who wants to work with Punk. So this move, I think, makes everyone happy, even though I think there's still some red flags. Obviously TK wants this. Warner Brothers definitely want this. I mean, they literally said they want CM Punk on this show. So yun lang. I'm not excited for it, but in the grand scheme of things, if it works, then it works.
Ito, si Ninong Derv na mahilig pumusta wants to know over under how many months until someone complains about toxic behavior.
I don't think it's gonna take long because he's usually
Yeah.
toxic when he's hurt. Like he's gonna
He's
complain when
grumpy.
he's really hurt bad. So I don't think he is like at the peak of his health anymore. I think he's gonna get injured sooner or later, whether through his own fault or not. So when that happens, you can expect him to be a grump again. But at this point, if I were Tony Khan, I would get a handle on this guy. Like, either you stop bringing him out to the media scrums, or you shut him up when it's time to shut him up, and not just sit there and and let him go like some kind of dork that's powerless to stop his dog.
Yeah, he's the boss. So, pero minsan kasi parang ano lang siya, he's more of a punk fanboy than an actual boss when he's around him.
Yes, precisely.
I mean, we all can't be Jan. Sometimes some of us are just Michael Scott, diba? So that's clearly what we saw at some point.
Yeah,
Right, moving on.
No, real quick. Admin Jackie's right. They do have
Yeah.
the PR guy from WWE. So I would hope that Punk has a relationship with this guy. I forgot what his name is. But sana naman, diba? Since he is a really big figure in the wrestling industry, he can get a hold of this guy, who is pretty sure by all counts is a PR liability.
Yeah, there's also a reason why we keep saying on the pod for years and years now. Now, media training is important in this industry.
Yes,
So leave
sir.
it at
Even
that.
Carlo Cannon knows that.
Oh yeah, speaking of Carlo Cannon, we just had him on the podcast kaninang hapon. We recorded that, so that episode should be out sometime early next week. Just want to put it out there because we're really excited to share. Now we got to hang out with Kuya Carlo Cannon.
And we
All right.
might get to hang out with more people too.
Yes. Let's put that out there in the universe, like the great manifester Roma ASH. More news outside the ring. We found out this week that Alexa Bliss is pregnant. So congratulations to her and to Ryan Cabrera na hindi kilala ni Emil. Pero tayong mga matatanda, kilala natin siya.
I don't know. I just want to
Kilala natin yung mga
ask
songs niya.
who in the chat still knows Ryan Cabrera.
You underestimate na mas mga kaedara naman natin yung mga listeners natin.
Kasi, I'm sure Lance doesn't know who Ryan Cabrera is because he lives under a rock, diba? So I'm wondering who else knows Ryan Cabrera.
Ayan, sabi ni Admin Jackie, kilala ba siya ni Rowan? That is the question.
Yeah, that's the
Rowan
question.
is Team 2001. That's right.
Yeah. He was a literal baby when nung sumikat si Ryan Cabrera.
Yeah. So this one kind of caught us by surprise because last we heard Alexa Bliss was training to get back in the ring, diba? Coming off of that tag team championship run alongside Asuka. And then after the announcement, now people on Twitter have been reviving that joke. Now whoever Asuka works with ends up getting pregnant. And not that it's a bad thing, but there is a record. Now, if you end up feuding or tagging with Asuka, chances are you're bound to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Coincidence lang yun, I think. Di naman yung sadya, I think.
I'm sure. It's not like kinukulam ni Asuka yung mga tao na mabubuntis ka or whatever. Again, not that it's a bad thing, right? So yeah, congratulations to Alexa and Ryan.
Maybe she is actually like a goddess of fertility. Who knows, diba? If you, I guess if anyone in the WWE roster is trying to get pregnant, just go team with Asuka.
Again, we're not laughing at the pregnancy news or anything. We just think that it's a wild coincidence.
No. Congrats. It is a funny coincidence, actually. So
yeah. If you guys have read yung interview ni Alexa Bliss on the Messenger, she actually says na they weren't even planning to have a baby. So it wasn't something they intended to do kasi she was really training to get back in the ring.
It wasn't even an interview. So nag-post siya na, oops, it was best accident ever. So
No, she went into detail in that article.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I guess wear your condoms. I don't know.
I don't think there's a moral to the story here, to be honest. It's just good news.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying she wasn't planning it and she was still focused on being in the ring. So I guess that's what happens when you go raw. Literal Monday Night Raw.
Glendale, to answer your question, yeah, there's Carmela, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans. I remember parang lima yun based on this tweet that I saw that was making the rounds. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll get to the wrestling talk. We'll break down Night of Champions and Double or Nothing, and then we'll zoom out and talk about which PLE or pay-per-view we like the best. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts right here on Podcast Network Asia. All right, I just backread the chat and thank you guys for reminding us how old we've gotten kasi mas maraming hindi nakakakilala apparently kay Ryan Cabrera.
I told you. That's why I asked it. That's why I asked it because you can't, you overestimate how young our crowd is.
Thanks, guys. Yan na, nag-maintenance meds na po kami. Thanks, fuckers. All right, let's talk about Night of Champions. And let's start with the cinema that unfolded in front of us at the end of the event. So, napuruhan na si Jimmy Uso, nag-sprak siya, and now Jey Uso has no idea what the fuck he's gonna do. So, was this a predictable turn for you guys? Did you think this was gonna happen at Night of Champions, like this soon after sina Sami tumiwalag din from the bloodline?
A lot of people predicted the actual turn happening here, so Night of Champions, but I didn't think it was gonna happen right away. I knew that Roman would do something to them, and then the decline would start. But I didn't think that they would get to this point so soon. It was good though. Even though it was predictable, syempre, you don't wanna you think you want unpredictability, but that's not really what people want. People want to satisfy the part of their brain that says this story is going this way. So if you don't go this way, like example, the Cody Rhodes thing about the story didn't go the way they wanted it to. That's why people were melting down over the result. I've seen literal meltdowns on Twitter because Cody lost. So the fact that you did this now is good. It's good storytelling because everything that happened leading up to it made sense. Like Roman was a victim of his own hubris, trying to undermine the Usos and freezing them out. And syempre, Newton's law. Every reaction deserves an opposite reaction, diba? So this finally happened, and it was pretty satisfying. Like I said, kanina, it woke up the sleepy 4 a.m. crowd at Hobby Stadium.
Yeah,
did you scream at like 4 a.m. like Glendale here?
Yes, I did. Kasi before that, honestly, napipikit-pikit na ako. Because again, it's 4 a.m. I've been awake for hours before that. So I screamed when it happened. Kasi same with I think same with a lot of people. I thought the turn was gonna happen in the future pa, but they're gonna establish something here that will make the Usos turn on Roman. Pero hindi pa at Night of Champions. But it happened here, and it was fine. It was okay. Medyo biglaan lang for me that it was Jimmy. Kasi up until a couple of weeks ago, we didn't really see Jimmy as the Uso to turn on Roman. We all thought it's gonna be Jey. And kasi all this time, he has been the Uso who is not affected by the drama, and he is stick by Roman all this time. Like when the Royal Rumble thing happened, when Sami turned on him, it was Jimmy who, siya agad yung rumesponde kay Roman. And all this time, even though Jay's conflicted, Jimmy's the one who is loyal to the bloodline. But so it kind of came as a surprise that he was the one to do it. Pero I guess the progression of the story also makes sense. Na it has to be Jey who's the last one to crack.
Yeah, why do you say that, Emil?
Kasi it also began with him. Kasi siya yung it all began with Jey parang parang Roman has abused him so much that he fell in line. So and then he see like the others, so parang he sacrificed himself for his brothers.
Oh.
Tapos um tapos si Jimmy, konting inconvenience lang, he turned on Roman just like that. So yun lang, yun may element lang ng biglaan for me. Pero for me, it makes sense that he's gonna be the one who's gonna last to crack the entire bloodline. Si Jay talaga dapat.
No,
Ikaw,
yeah,
Road,
I agree with
do
that.
you have any
No,
issue
I
with Jimmy turning first?
Yeah, I did because even though Aaron says that Jimmy was the one getting pissed off this entire time, remember that it was always Jay who was torn
Yep.
up about his allegiance to Roman Reigns and how Roman was treating them. He started it about he was the first inductee of the bloodline after an abusive couple of months about, but um, Jay, let's not pretend that Jay didn't go through this doubting phase about. Um, I also found it surprising that it was Jimmy because Jimmy was always the guy to have Roman's back when Jay was questioning his loyalty and allegiance. Diba? So I found it weird that suddenly Jay is gets pissed off. I think they can still explain this by having Jimmy say na he was there for Roman. He stopped Jay from turning on him until now, diba? And then that's how Roman repays him. If they go that route, then sige, I can let this slide. But it should have been Jay because Jay was the one Sammy and Kevin were playing to because they knew that he was feeling it. He was just denying it, diba? Um, so that's why I thought he would be easier to crack here. I do think that he should have been the one to think about it, diba? So I just gave Triple H an out. So let's hope he takes it.
Eto, question for you guys. Kasi ang sinasabi-sabi sa internet ngayon is that Roman is booked for Money in the Bank and for SummerSlam. So that's a good 2 or 3 months worth of story that WWE can tell here. Does Roman need a challenger for the Undisputed Championship, or okay na Roman and Solo go against the Usos here?
I think what I already tweeted something about this. It should at Money in the Bank. It should be Jimmy challenging Roman for the heavyweight, for the undisputed title, and then after Jay finally cracked, then it's gonna come down to a tag team match between Roman and Solo versus the Usos. Kasi ngayon, conflicted pa rin si Jay at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think their feud needs the championship. I would find it much better without kasi parang okay, it's like the Bray Wyatt thing that you don't need a championship for Bray Wyatt. And here, you don't need a championship for family matters or for a family issue. So although the other thing is Roman does need to defend that thing, he did come up on 1,000 days without having to defend the championship since WrestleMania, diba? So that's people are seeing through that, and eventually you do have to. So I wouldn't be surprised if both matches against both Usos were for the title. It will not be a change of hands, but it will at least be a championship defense that is much needed.
Yeah. I'm excited for this. Either way, actually. But I'm kind of leaning towards a championship defense being necessary only because they're so rare na nga. Tapos magkaka-PLE, tapos hindi pa natin makukuha. So parang doon ako medyo nakukulangan or masasayangan kung walang opportunity for a championship defense, even if it's against Jimmy or Jay because of the family dispute. So it should be an interesting next few weeks, starting with SmackDown happening this weekend as Roman celebrates 1,000 days. Speaking of championships, let's talk about the other one, the new World Heavyweight Championship, which Seth Rollins got at Night of Champions. This one opened the show, and ang sabi-sabi sa internet, it was because Seth had to immediately fly out of Jeddah to get to the set of Captain America New World Order. That being said, did you think na this match should have closed Night of Champions, given that it was a new world title that they were establishing and that Seth was going to be the inaugural champion?
No, I don't think it should have closed. It's the whole main event thing, the main event thing that Punk was arguing about like 10 years ago. That's the truth is Roman is the big star, and Roman's story will always have to end the show. What I did need for this match was a much longer runtime. Like, let's go fucking New Japan main event levels of long for this. Give me all the false finishes, the falsies, the drama. Uh, the both of them going so long that they are fucking tired, like Okada and Omega are. So I didn't get that because parang it felt like a relatively quick world championship match for me. It wasn't even a one night tournament, so that doesn't make sense. So I know that they can pull out a big dramatic match, and I think they stopped short of that. That's what I was looking for, to really make the image of the new world heavyweight championship.
Yeah, same sentiments from me as well. It was okay that this didn't close out the show because you had the bigger story with Roman and the Usos, so that okay lang yan na that main evented. Pero also same thoughts nabitin ako with the opening match, even though like if you're not main eventing, you should be opening, and it was the right place on the card for that match. Pero I think because mamadali din sila and Seth was had something to do after na they cut the match a little bit shorter than it would be kung normal lang na he's like there's walang na hindi siya alis agad after the match. So
Yeah. How would you rate Seth Rollins' first week or half week as World Heavyweight Champion?
Pretty good. I enjoyed the main event match a lot more. No, sorry, main event on Raw a lot more than the Saudi match. It was just a lot better if you have an actual push and pull between faces and heels, and he really established himself as a top star that people want to see. So, great choice. Again, predictable, but you need the predictability because the predictability tells you where people want to go, and they nailed it. Seth was ready for this. He was born for this. He is him, and I don't think anyone else could have carried the mantle of Raw the way he does right now.
Yep. For me, out of 5, give it a 4. Kasi he presented himself well on Raw, and we had a great match on the main events, and it's only really appropriate that he is the first champion to set the tone. This is a major title. This is not just a consolation prize. Na this is a championship na the top people in the company are gonna fight for. So it was a good first week for Seth.
Yeah. All right. Who do you want to be his first challenger?
Finn or Damien.
Finn.
Both of them,
Finn.
either of them.
It has to be Finn. Obviously, they're pushing Judgment Day to the top of the card. Kasi, one thing pala, the separation or the creation of a new world championship really elevates the rest of the guys on the roster, on the brand. Kasi when you had just one championship for the entire for the both rosters of it, you could only really have one or two top guys. So now here on Raw, I can feel for real that the Judgment Day, Damian and Finn feel like top guys. About they can legitimately challenge Seth Rollins in a pay-per-view match for the championship. So that was pretty cool to me, and I do think they were making that argument as well. Now Finn has to be it, or Damian has to be it.
Yeah, that seems to line up din naman with what we've been seeing on the internet, some rumors that are floating around as well na WWE is really high on Damien Priest, especially after his work with Bad Bunny nung Backlash, and then syempre Finn being the anchor, being the veteran presence on the Judgment Day. So, a lot of good things hopefully in store for the Judgment Day guys heading into Seth's first feud for the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's move on to Cody Rhodes here, who decided to pull an edge from 2004 during his match with Brock Lesnar and use this cast as a weapon finally nung na-realize niya na legal naman pala. But coming out of Night of Champions, how does Cody Rhodes look after everything he'd gone through?
So yeah, you go first, Emil. I have feelings about this.
Honestly, okay lang naman eh. For me lang talaga, parang pilit yung yung finish na he just passed out instead of tapping out because he has a broken arm and Brock puts his submission on him. Any parang normal lang na dapat mag-tap out, and it's okay if he would have tapped out. Pero ano they went with the Super Cena route when we didn't tap and just fell asleep. Yeah, so it was fine. It was fine for me. The finish was fine. Pero I'm not really like super satisfied with it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is fucking stupid. Like it is fucking stupid. Like I am supporting the whole Cody Rhodes rehabilitation thing, the rehabilitation arc, the hero's journey from his loss to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But this fucking takes the cake. Tangina, how do people think this is realistic? You have a broken arm. People were advising you to not compete on this show. If I Triple H doesn't cancel the match thanks to a legit broken arm, and I don't give a shit if your precedent was Cody competing with a broken pec, with a torn pec. That's the broken arm is much worse than that, and you are a terrible businessman who risks the well-being of his wrestlers by allowing a guy with a broken arm, quote unquote, to compete on a show with a man who can legit kill you, 'di ba? So, yung pa lang sobrang weird na. And then the broken arm itself. So, I speak from experience when I say I was close to someone with a broken arm, and that the whole thing of powering through the pain of a broken arm and allowing another guy to crank it further and break it further, break it more than it could ever be broken at this point, is so fucking stupid. Like, how realistic is that? Do people actually believe this shit? Na he powered through a broken arm, like. And remember the thing he said on Monday, Brock Lesnar wasn't man enough to make him tap out. Yeah, that's the thing. Now Brock Lesnar looks like a total jackass for not being able to tap a guy out with a broken arm. So tangina, everyone loses in this whole thing. Cody looks fucking stupid because he chooses valor over wisdom. Brock looks fucking stupid because he couldn't finish the job and make had to live with the satisfaction of having the guy pass out after 3 minutes uh of being cranked up. So that tells me that he wasn't cranking hard enough. So ano yun? So this guy who is a literal monster couldn't break this guy's arm any further to get him to tap out. The referee looks stupid by not calling the match where any other combat sport would call it a TKO already once you get that arm in a submission hold, diba? Triple H looks stupid by allowing the match to continue and making Brock look weak. So, God, what a shit show! And I'm not trying to trash Cody Rhodes here or Brock Lesnar. It's just a terrible shit show of a booking decision all around. I would have preferred the story being Cody dodging Brock, finding a way to weasel out of the Kimura, the double wrist lock. Because once you lock that thing in, you're supposed to tap out instantly, and it just wasn't realistic to me, and I hate it. I hate every bit of it, and I hate it even more because this is Cody trying to make himself look superhuman and even better because he wants to be the guy, he wants to be him, but in the process of doing so, he is being ridiculous about it. I think this is far worse than any Super Cena shtick Cena pulled in the late 2000s and early 2010s.
Yep. I just want to add.
Yeah.
I just want to add to
Sige,
this.
go.
I had a broken arm, 10 years
Yun,
ago.
yun naman pala eh, yun.
And
How did it
just
feel, Emil? Let the people know.
Yeah. If I
And-
put you in a Kimura, would you tap out?
Immediately.
Yeah,
Tatapos ako
exactly.
immediately. Kasi nga,
I don't give a shit if you were like 240 pounds.
hindi pa ako gumagalaw. Hindi ko ginagalaw, pero sobrang sakit niya. Na just at the resting point, it hurts so badly. So, just imagine, gaganong ka sa submission, kasi hindi ka magta-tap out. Yun lang. Yun yung problema ko dun eh. Kasi they went with, I know they're going for the Super Cena route here, where they're trying to make him look strong. I understand that they went through that, pero for me, hindi ako na-satisfied dun sa result na yun.
Si Bruce
Yeah.
nag-rant about a broken heart. Ibang usapan yan, Bruce.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, wala tayong magagawa dyan dito.
Yeah. Nung kasabi mo si Brooks Jensen. uh, man, I don't know. Yun nga, it's such a bad look by creative. Mostly because anyone with any injury experience can call that bullshit out easily, diba? Like there is a way to rehab Cody. It didn't have to involve getting a kayfabe injury that would, kill you or hindi naman, cripple you if it happened in real life, diba? So why should this be any different? Kasi yun nga, it's easily callable bullshit. So God, now he just looks worse to me, diba? This whole thing looks worse. Parang the thing about wrestling is we're already up in arms whenever somebody calls it fake and judges us for calling it for watching something that's fake. Now, this is the worst example of that. Now, this is the fakest of fakery that is easily detectable. And we should all, and whoever enjoys this should feel bad about themselves because they supported a total bullshit creative decision.
That's the Codyverse for you.
That's
Cody
a
Yeah,
vintage
Derv is
Romoran
even right.
rant
Yes,
on his birthday.
Derv is right. They were injuring the wrong part of the arm because the kimura is a wrist lock, and then it also tries to wrench your shoulder. So nothing about that was about the forearm. So yun
Right.
pa.
Lots of feelings. Lots of feelings there. A vintage Romoran rant or Roma rant. All right, let's move on here. One more bit from Night of Champions. Let's talk about Zoe Stark, who has emerged as Trish Stratus's protege. So she's now the one really beating the drum of thank you, Trish. Do you guys like this choice creatively?
Yes, for me, definitely. Very, very like this move. Because for me, she fits so well alongside Trish. When I saw them side by side, like they just click. And for me, it also makes Zoe Stark a bigger deal. Just by aligning herself with Trish and being slotted in a major storyline. Kaka-debut niya pa lang sa Raw, and immediately she's in a major storyline alongside someone who's a Hall of Famer. So that's a big stamp of approval for Zoe Stark.
Ikaw,
Agree.
Ro, coming out of Raw.
Yeah, I agree. This, working with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus already tells you how management views you, and I agree with this because Zoe Stark is one of the better or one of the best female wrestlers that have come along in the developmental system in a long, long time. I would say even that she is better put together than Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez is a prodigy, a kid prodigy, but Zoe Stark is the more complete female wrestler. So I like that they are rocket strapping her. I think deserve. I believe she is not that young, so I think she deserves to be pushed right away as well. And I think she will lend an air of legitimacy to the division the way Asuka, Bianca, and Io have.
Yeah, I think Zoe Stark is right around our age, early 30s at our late 20s. So, just about to hit her prime. Good for her. Really happy to see her in the spot. I said no pick of the week episode na she's got a chance to be the new Mickey James here, minus the lesbian undertones of that Trish and Mickey storyline from 2006. Right, that's it for Night of Champions for us. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Double or Nothing.
Really quick. I don't know if you guys listened to the Picks of the Week episode, but for those who haven't, I would just reiterate it here. Now, we have come a long, long way from Trish having Tyson Tomko as a heater, and now she has a woman like Zoe Stark as the muscle for her. So that's pretty cool, and that is how far women's wrestling has come. I know China was there, but China was also literally built different. So it's not quite the same, but this is still pretty cool.
Yeah, amen. 100% agree. Let's take that break. Double or Nothing reactions on the other side after a quick word from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. Before we get to Double or Nothing reactions, let's say hi to Ninang Abby, who's joining us on the live stream for the first time in quite a while.
Yun. Oo.
What's up, Abby?
Ninang Abby, hello.
Been a
Pahingin
while.
pagkain.
I'm gonna let that pass because it's Rose's birthday today. Right.
I mean,
Double or
she no,
Nothing.
she literally would send us food. I didn't, we
That is
didn't
also
even
true.
ask for food, and she would send it.
That is exactly why she is Ninang Abby. Right, let's talk about Double or Nothing, AEW's flagship show, flagship pay-per-view, biggest show of the year, and the biggest debate coming out of that is what should have closed the show. So, should it have been Anarchy in the Arena, which we got, or should it have been the World Championship match? What do you guys think?
I think I already said this during the pick of the week episode because this was my pick of the week, the Anarchy in Arena match. It was only right that this main evented Double or Nothing because the Anarchy in the Arena match is the signature match of this pay per view. It's kind of like Money in the Bank match for the Money in the Bank pay per view. Um, Plus, this match, as far as I know, the Anarchy in Arena slash Stadium Stampede has closed out 3 of the last 4 Double or Nothings. So this has been a tradition at this point. Plus, they have the biggest stars in the company in this match. They had Kenny, Moxley, Danielson, Hangman, the Young Bucks. So they were in this match. So I think it was only right that this was the main event. Plus, we had that plot twist at the end with Takeshita turning heel. So okay lang yan na this main evented the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun. It's a whole bunch of fun through the arena. Uh, as I said then nung picks of the week, given the finish of the Four Pillars four way, I don't think that should have closed the show. Like alam mo yun, that's just gonna piss the crowd off and send them home pissed off. So you want to end it with a bang. You want to end it with something that was straight up fun. So I think this was a top choice, a good choice to send the fans home happy.
So, ako, yung take ko on this one is that it should have always been the World Championship, just because it's the World Championship, and it's a very old school argument, but it is what it is, diba? And I understand that you've got the bigger stars there in the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. It's just that it's the world title, and it kind of doesn't really do the Four Pillars a service. Na you're supposed to be elevating them, you're supposed to be propping them up to be on the same level supposedly as your Elite, as your BCC, but instead they're in that spot where na-justify tuloy yung side headlock takeover na finish. Like, I would probably argue na if they were in the main event spot, it probably would have had a different finish.
I don't think I don't think I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true. The other thing is the build for the Four Pillars match was so that even no matter where you put it, I don't think the other 3 pillars, quote unquote, would have looked like the main event stars that they were. Parang, wala, they're just there. They just happen to have a championship shot against their fellow running buddy MJF, diba? So I would much rather close the show out with the big stars. Once upon a time, I believe the same way you do, but the whole business, the whole industry of not just pro wrestling but also combat sports itself, there will always be bigger stars than the who is supposed to be the big star on paper. So I don't
Naghang si
people
Rono.
no. Hello? Hello, hello? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Was that me or was that Ro?
I was talking. I don't know. Probably me. Where? No, I was saying that in combat sports and in sports in general, there will always be bigger stars than who you think or who is supposed to be the big star on paper. That's why the fucking Nuggets are getting shit for being in the finals, diba? Because they're not the big stars. The same way the Lakers and LeBron are, diba? So even though yes, the championship should be on top, especially in a worked show busy sport like pro wrestling, you do have to put the big stars on the biggest spot.
Yeah, I don't know, ano lang ako, naalala ko lang yung argument ni Punk dati. One of the reasons why he was so upset, diba, was because he was WWE champion for over a year. and then he could barely close a show. Like I don't think he ever really main evented a show as WWE champion until he had to drop the title to The Rock at the 2013 Royal Rumble. And even then, I could be wrong. I'm not sure I remember correctly kung sino yung nag-main event ng pay-per-view na yun. So,
Yeah, sila.
yun. So he didn't close the show until he literally had to drop the title to The Rock, diba? So it's one of the few things I agree with CM Punk on. It really should be the World Championship because in theory, that's the spot that everybody's fighting for. So if yung nangyari is you still prioritize the bigger stars, it becomes more of a matter of star power as opposed to fighting to be the champion, to be the guy, diba? And there's the other argument that it didn't do any favors for the four pillars, which we're about to get to here. Like, did you guys feel that they were elevated in the process of being in the semi-main event spot?
No, I still thought they were just like, okay, young kids who had a championship match, because um, they earned it, yes, but they didn't feel like main eventers to me, and that's not their fault though. I felt like Tony Khan did a bad job. He gave it his best effort, but I still thought it wasn't enough to really establish them as the the big main eventers and contenders that they wanted them to be.
Yeah, I still see them as the rising stars, not necessarily the all stars. This like in the all star weekend, they are like the rising stars challenge, and then the Anarchy in Arena is like the all star game. The big stars are there, but here you get to see the future of wrestling, get to see the rising young stars of the company really having a showcase of their talent, just going out there. And this was a really fast paced match. All of them got their stuff in. So, but in at the end of the day, they're still like the rising stars of AEW.
You guys
I
said na
agree,
may
it was fun
kulang
too. It
for
was
them
really
to be
fun.
elevated. Yeah, you guys said na may kulang.
Yeah,
So other than fixing the build, what could have been improved to satisfy the need to elevate these guys?
I don't know. I think it was really all in the build. I thought that
Yeah.
the whole thing wasn't focused enough the way other MJF stories were. Like, Brian Danielson was a pretty nice story. And although he was already a main eventer coming in, it was still pretty, it did a good job in establishing how important this story was. And for this one, talagang wala eh. Maybe if it were a one-on-one match, tapos he went through them like a rogues gallery, I think that would have gone a longer way in establishing all three as bigger than they are now.
Yeah. Also same kasi ito four of them shared the spotlight in the build up to the feud. So hindi sila na shine isa-isa. Instead, the focus was on the four of them instead of each of them as individuals. Na no, he's a pillar of the company, he's a pillar of the company. So parang it was a collective feud rather than MJF versus this guy, MJF versus this guy, and then MJF versus this guy.
All right. One other thing that we saw coming out of Double or Nothing was a new set of women's champions. So it seems like TK hit the reset button. Tony Storm, now the women's world champion, and Chris Statlander finally defeating Jade Cargill after she got her 60th win against Taya. And if you watched Dynamite earlier, it looks like Taya's the next challenger agad for Chris Statlander kasi parang may nagbabadyang resentment or jealousy na Chris Statlander swooped in and took the TBS championship.
I'm okay with this because Taya doesn't seem like she is better off as a face. I think her best work and her claim to fame was always being the blonde heel, diba? So I'm okay with this. Stat is has long been my pick to be the TBS champion. Glad that they pushed through with it. It was very Vince of TK to do the surprise match thing. I will admit. I think AEW fans are not going to admit this, but that was a straight up Vince playbook move, diba?
Yeah, WrestleMania 9, diba?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's very fun because it gave you the result that you wanted, that we wanted. But let's not pretend that he wasn't stealing from the sports entertainment playbook. So,
but is it a good thing or not? Like the WrestleMania 9 playbook?
I don't know because it depends on what you're trying to establish yourself as. Like at the very beginning, AEW was very sportsy, not that more on sports and less on entertainment. So I knew that they were conscious, or Tony Khan was consciously avoiding Vince tropes. So um I guess it depends on what he's trying to be now. Like, if he admits na, okay, Vince was, a genius for establishing the big wrestling plays, or at least perpetuating them, then okay, this is not a bad thing. But if he is still trying to distance himself from the traditional creative plays, then it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is kind of hypocritical, I would say.
Regarding the title changes, I'm definitely okay with it kasi the division and the title scene of both the TBS and the Women's Championship has kind of been stale lately. With the world title, we all see that the champion has been sucked into a faction versus faction feud. She doesn't really get to defend the title that much. So because of an unfortunate injury, they had to change. They had to do a title change, and now Tony Storm is the champion. I just hope she defends the title a little bit more than Jamie Hayter did during her title reign.
Yeah.
Kasi they badly need resurgence in that division, and I think this is a good step in the right direction, I guess.
All right. But did you guys think that the reset button as a whole, that was a good move on TK's part as a promoter?
Yeah,
Yes,
for
yes.
me, yes.
Absolutely. Uh, and it was necessary because Jamie Hayter is injured. So,
Yeah.
I will say though that had she not been injured, he would have powered through and did, or tried to do better by her. But the injury really necessitated the reset button.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the
plus
very least, it opens the door for Jamie Hayter to come back, hopefully by September, diba, for the Wembley show, for her and Tony Storm to tear it up for the Women's Championship once again.
yeah.
Zooming out here, Memorial Day weekend in the States, medyo meh dito sa atin sa Pinas because, hindi naman tayo kano. But which of the Memorial Weekend pay-per-views or PLEs was the best for you?
Go, Emil.
Honestly, wrestling wise, it's the one PLE we didn't really talk about. It's NXT Battleground for me because it was a really packed wrestling show from top to bottom, and I feel like for me, it had the best crowd out of all the three shows, and you can see from the performance that they're really willing to go to limits, just like it was during the Black and Gold era, and I really like that they're trying to go back to what NXT made successful before, so which is really something nice to see, and yeah.
Yeah. NXT pa rin. I'm actually pretty sad that tawag dun, we couldn't have a legit way to watch the show, and therefore I couldn't give you a reliable way to stream it. Because had I known that Double or Nothing would fall kind of flat because of the Vegas crowd, and that Boston would really make uh, tawag dun, Battleground bigger than it was, I would have given you a Battleground watch party instead. Diba? So um, Battleground is great. It was a return to form. You would think that Triple H was booking NXT again, but I think um, we are back to the age of NXT where the veteran talent is carrying the show, and it's not just the new guys anymore. Actually, there were like, I think half of the show was like new guys only, and then
And the other
the
half was
other
NXT UK.
yeah, the
Yeah.
other half was NXT UK and
NXT.
veterans as well. Syempre, let's not forget that Mello is actually an indie guy. So
Yeah.
pretty fun. If you still haven't given NXT a shot this year, I think now is the best time for that.
Yeah, this is a good starting point to get back into NXT. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, if you check out yung Patreon review ni Ro of Battleground, he actually lists the match in his preferred order of watchability. I don't necessarily share the same opinion in terms of his rankings, but I'd like to point out that there were some really good bangers in there. Braun Mello was a banger. First Braun match I've gotten excited about in a while. Dijak and Dragunov, they really just murdered each other out there. So kung gusto nyo makapanood ng patayan, yun na yun, di ba?
yung rankings na yun, they weren't like, best to worst. It's really just if you need to watch something first, like si Miggy from our Discord, diba? He was asking which he should watch first, diba? So I thought of that, and then I listed it that way. But the thing here is all of the matches are worth watching. I haven't said that about a pay-per-view or a PLE in a long, long time.
Yeah, great show. Congrats to Tiffany Stratton, the new NXT Women's Champion. I believe yun lang yung title na nag-change hands, di ba? At
Yes.
Battleground.
Yes, that was the only
Yes.
one.
Yeah, so really good showing from her. And there's a battle royal next week where they'll find out who's going to be her next challenger. I'm hoping it's Lyra Valkyria again, just because I don't think they're done. And I'm really high on Lyra here. So I'm hoping that she wins next week on NXT. Anything else from NXT you guys want to talk about? Because if not, I want to talk about Ronda and Shayna being women's tag champions.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're good.
okay, sure.
I'm good with NXT.
Yeah. So again, let's talk about that because this week we also crowned new women's tag team champions in Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Kind of overdue, but them's the breaks because Liv and Raquel were hot, then Liv got injured. So this kind of opened the door for the four-way, which nung nakita natin si na Ronda and Shayna there, I don't think there was any other acceptable result.
Yeah, we were talking about this last week on the stream. People were saying that the championships are cursed because so many bad shit has happened to the champions over its what 4 year history so far. It's funny. I talk about this on my Raw review earlier today in the Medyo Late. It's funny that Ronda Rousey, this big crossover star, is now a mid card act in the WWE. It's crazy that way, and it's kind of sad as well that people still don't give her the credit she deserves for successfully transitioning to the pro wrestling life and the pro wrestling style and the work. I think this is the best spot for her because she works with a more successful and a better MMA fighter turned wrestler in Shayna Baszler. So I think that with Shayna, she's only going to get better, and it's this is the right spot because the WWE universe doesn't really consider her as a bigger star than she really should be, and that's fine. I think sometimes to say it's a lot easier to blend in the mid card and not be conspicuous. So I think eventually this is going to rehab Ronda's image and gonna make the women's tag team champions look good for all its checkered past.
Yep. Yung sabi mo kanina, Ro, na Ronda na sa mid-card. Honestly, naalala ko si Ken Shamrock. Also, someone who's kind of a big crossover star but really thrived in the mid-card scene when he was in the old WWE. When it comes to Ronda and Shayna, again, long overdue na, they win the tag team titles. Plus, I think it can bring some legitimacy in the women's tag team division that they sorely, sorely need. Having someone like Ronda who's a star, and let's not pretend that she isn't a big star, but she is, and it would really help the division big time.
Yeah, there really isn't much of a division yet, diba? Because the tag team
Yeah.
division's women's side always gets shuffled for whatever reason. But I like having a very dominant heel team like Ronda and Shayna there as the champions because it immediately makes it more palatable for like yung babyface teams like the KCs who are about to come up, diba? We saw a vignette from them on Raw. There's always the way, diba? Candice who got a vignette herself, and then si Indy, that's a natural pairing already dating back to NXT. So those are two babyface teams, and then even if Sonya and Chelsea were to go after them, clear underdog pa rin sila compared to Ronda and Shayna. So I think it's nice to have this dominant heel women's tag team champions na kind of in the mold of Nia and Shayna. Diba? In a way, it kind of is the same type of team there. So good move on everybody. And I'm excited to see where they take the women's tag team championships. Right. That's going to do it for the wrestling talk here. We're going to be getting into some audio only stuff, which you can catch on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. But it's also the part that Ro has been hyping for weeks and weeks on end. So I think we should give way first to the birthday boy so he can make his huge announcement.
All right, all right. So y'all know that I've been podcasting for 9 years, and I've been a member of the local wrestling community for 8 years. And throughout that near decade, I've done quite a lot. We've interviewed uh, WWE international stars, diba? We've talked to so many people. We have built up this entire following. I even forgot to give Stan the rankings, the international rankings for today. Uh, we have done so much, and I felt like I have done so much, which is why I am formally announcing my retirement from podcasting.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Y'all puppets. Y'all puppets.
He
No, no,
sampled
no.
shirted us.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. By the way, 10-year anniversary in a couple of weeks. The big announcement is that I am launching my very own podcast. It is my solo podcast. It's going to talk about my career as a wrestler, mostly wrestling, not podcasting. Maybe we'll talk about that. We're telling the story from the early years, from 2014. It's called Unmasked: The Chronicles of Romaran and Sandata. I would show the cover art here, but we didn't get to finish it in time for the slides. So yun. So the reason why I made this solo podcast, why well, I guess I'm the Michelle Williams because Stan was the Beyonce and Chino was the Kelly Rowland. Uh, the reason why is because every time we do a show in MWF, people ask me, when are you gonna come back? When are you gonna lace up the boots again or the sneakers? So, if I had 1,000 pesos for every time somebody asked me that, I would be able to pay my bills monthly. But this podcast also aims to answer that. The very first episode actually will answer that question. It will tell you where I'm at right now. And then after that, we'll just get into the entire history. It's also kind of a history of the local wrestling scene because I did come up with it. Stan and I did come up along with it. So if you want to hear some stories, I'm not there but to, deliberately shit on anyone. Because if you did some shit, I will tell it, but it's not there to intentionally besmirch anyone's name. It's not out there to, make enemies and flame people. But it's gonna be a fun journey through through the past decade of local wrestling. I don't know what's gonna happen when we do come to the current day, but we'll cross the bridge when we get there. It releases on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on June 14. That's when the first episode will be dropping. I hope to get a teaser up on the Spotify account when we do make that by next week, so you guys can check out what it's going to be all about. When it goes up, I will tell you so you guys can subscribe to it, and we'll have a good time. I hope that you guys enjoy learning about my career in a way that I never really got to do in my various interviews among different podcasts, including this one. So yeah, stay tuned for it. Unmasked: The Chronicles of Romaran and Sandata.
Really fun stuff. Looking forward to hearing some of those stories, even though more often than not, I probably was present for some of those moments and some of those stories. But it's always nice to hear them from like a different perspective, especially when people who need to get called out will get called out. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
There will be some call outs, but it's incidental to the story. Like the classical Brian Leo stories are there. I didn't make the podcast to shit on him. It's just there because he did shit. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, should be fun. Congrats, Ro, and congrats to sabihin ba natin na may co-host ka?
Yeah, sure. I will be co-hosting the show with ABL Anselmo, formerly of Wrestling After Work. So if you listen to that show, you'll be familiar with him. He's going to serve as my Conrad Thompson, my Smart Mark Sterling, my Matt Coon, my John Alba. If you guys listen to the Conrad verse, yun talaga inspiration actually, because Conrad specifically started going into the histories of his different hosts. I wanted to do the same and tell stories and explain more of my side, my mindset, what I was going through at these specific times in local wrestling history.
All right. So there, something for us to check out come June 14th when the first episode drops. Emil, any plugs on your end? May solo podcast ka na rin ba?
Wala. Yeah, just follow me on my socials, TikTok, and on Twitter, email_meister.
Time to roast Emil when he makes those bad NBA Finals opinions
Oh.
and picks. All right. As for me, I'll take the time to plug MWF Lights Camera Action happening this Sunday over at the QC Memorial Circle. Tickets are still up for sale. You can get them over at tickettome.net. Go check out the MWF Facebook page as well for tickets. We just dropped a new vignette for the stable that Jake De Leon and I are a part of. It's called Oro Plata Mata. Go check that one out as well. We worked really hard on it over the last week. So we hope that you enjoy watching the vignette and that you boo as loud as you can when we make our appearance this Sunday at Lights Camera Action.
That was a really cool vignette. I just saw that earlier before we started on the show. It was really cool. So go check it out, guys.
Syempre, we will not settle for anything less. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, tsaka if you can't make the show live, syempre, you can subscribe to Gank. As of today, or as of yesterday, rather, you can finally find the latest Tajiri match versus Brother Jomar Liwanag from Republica on our Gank page. Just subscribe over at ManilaWrestling.com. It is $10 or around 600 gold coins on the Gank platform. You can pay for it via credit card, debit card, GCash as well. So maraming payment options. That's a lot easier talaga kasi not everyone can make the show in QC or wherever have you in Makati on a Sunday. So we got you. We have the digital version, the online version for you guys who want to catch up.
Pero si babyface producer Jasper, sabi raw niya, manonood daw siya ng live kasi utang na loob niya yan sa atin. So babyface producer Jasper, you know what to do this Sunday, 4 p.m. over at the QC Memorial Circle. Speaking of which, thank you to all the babyface producers, including Jasper, for all the work that they do behind the scenes. Thank you as well to everybody who keeps supporting the podcast, for sharing the streams and subscribing, viewing, listening, letting everyone know that this podcast exists. Next few podcasts on our radar, you've got the Carlo Cannon episode coming up in a few days and our next Picks of the Week episode. And of course, we'll see you again on Thursday at 7 p.m. right here in our watering hole on Facebook and on YouTube as we break down the following week in wrestling. We'll catch you again by then. Until then, follow us at Wrestling2X Pod on TikTok and Twitter, The Wrestling Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. And individually, it is at Roiswar, at Chino Supersized, at EML_Meister, at Monday Night Rowan, and at _Stan C. For Emil ASH and the birthday boy, Ro Moran, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast, out. Bye-bye.
Peace.